gets you to be really gassy.
Yeah.
You know, just as bad as beans, I think. But anyway, she would just fight. Man, would she ever fight. And doggone it. Every time that she did, oh, excuse me. You know, if it happened,
Call attention
if it
to
happened
it.
5 minutes later, excuse me, you know. And there were times when I had to bite my lip and look the other way. I'm telling you, it got to be so comical.
I've been there. I was at one of Trina's sister's husband's grandmother's house.
Mm-hmm.
Put that together, and she was getting up out of the chair just like that, and I never met the lady before, and she said I started hearing this rumbling sound over in the corner. It was a leather chair, and it was stretched tight, and sometimes that leather kind of reverberates in a weird way, kind of like a church pew.
Yeah.
So she started farting, but I didn't recognize it as a fart. I just heard this rumbling noise going on over there, and I thought, what's that? She got up, and I'm not kidding, she walked all the way across the room, farting the whole time.
No kidding? Oh my God.
She was an old lady, and she's like, "Oh, don't mind me. I get a little noisy sometimes," and she had some kind of intestinal problem.
She must have had an intestinal problem.
So because of that, it wasn't funny, but oh my gosh, I never heard a fart like that. So it was funny to me.
Well, I'm gonna go to bed. Good night.
Yeah. Okay.
Good night.
And
We had.
early
I got to
birthday.
tell you one more melody.
Yeah,
and
come sit down.
I think I was in the first grade, and we had one kid there. He was sitting with his leg underneath him, and he was sitting on his shoe, see? And he cut loose, and it just screeched, and it wouldn't quit screeching.
Oh, I got a really funny one.
Did Germans eat a lot of beans or something?
Oh, sure they did.
Did they?
Oh, you bet.
Mm-hmm.
I was in this Christian college group, and we had a leadership retreat conference that we went to, and I'm doing a demonstration here, but we were all sitting on the floor in this conference room, and we were having a prayer meeting, and we'd been praying for about an hour. I mean, it was kind of getting to be kind of long, and there was this kid named Chris, and he was sitting in front of me, and we were all sitting on the floor, and it was a real serious time. And I was sitting behind him. I saw him make two fists like this because I had my eyes open, and he tried to just come up a little bit, and all of a sudden he just the whole place just busted up. It was so hilarious. I'd never seen anything funnier. He tried to sneak one out, but it came out really loud.
Yeah.
And somebody was in mid-sentence, and it ruined the whole time. After that, we were done.
Well, Carolyn and I go to conference meetings, and with nursing home, and so there's a lot of serious faces there. I mean, who's in there? Well, here's a registered nurse, you know,
Right.
highly educated woman, and has a lot of dignity about her. And then here's another one, you know, he just isn't a nurse, but he or she might be a nurse assistant, and so there's all kinds of caliber of people.
Of course, they've heard it
And
all.
here someone would cut loose, and the nurse, of course, would have a blank look on her face, but the rest of them would all be like.
It's funny.
Yeah.
But those nurses and doctors have been exposed to everything.
Oh, absolutely.
There's nothing they haven't seen.
No, or heard.
Or heard. That's right. So it doesn't faze them too much, but.
Good night, Melody.
Good night. Love you.
I love you.
Yeah, I couldn't sit through that with a straight face. Not too long anyway. I managed to bite my tongue though. That day with my friend's grandmother cut loose all the way across the room, and I waited until I got outside. I had to step outside immediately though, and Trina and we were literally crying, almost rolling around on the ground, just with laughter. We just wanted to make sure she didn't hear us laughing.
Well, here's one this actually happened. I'm not fabricating this one.
I believe you.
We have the old Lutheran church in Odessa, and it was just like a little country schoolhouse. It had just enough room. It was probably 16 feet wide. That's all the church was wide. And it was straight up and had its tower and everything, and it was painted white, and it was about 2 car lengths, and that was the whole entire congregational church there, see, or the Lutheran church. So we had a blacksmith, the town blacksmith, and he was a rough guy. I mean, he just had no scruples about anything, and so he would always sit in the same pew, in the same place, so that he could
really
spit down into the heat register where the heat was coming up.
Spit in church.
He'd spit in church, and he'd spit
gosh.
down there. Well, he was ahead in front of my sisters. You see, there were 3 sisters. They were side by side in one pew, and then my mother and myself were about another pew behind them, see. So this was just at the end of the church service. And my sisters, all 3 of them, had stored up good quantity of gas,
No.
And so when he let go of his oyster,
His belly oyster.
Yeah. And so when he let go, one sister laughed, and she kind of went like that, and she farted. And then the second one laughed, and she farted. And then I could not believe it, what I was witnessing. The third one farted. The third sister farted. And I remember I was sitting next to my mother, see, and she saw all that. And her daughters were farting like that in church, So here she was sitting. She had that stern look on her face, and she had her purse on her lap, and had both hands on that purse there. And she was so disgusted at her daughters, and I could hardly contain myself. It was the hardest strain I ever went through in my life, to just stay sober and right in front of my own mother, try to respect her. And so the minute when they finally sang the doxology,
You were able to
we
start
all got
laughing?
up. And man, I got up, and I left my mother behind. I just got up and had to get out of that church because I couldn't contain that laughter any longer. And I got into the family car. And then my sisters were just following me, and they followed me into the family car. And we sat there, and we just laughed we just laughed so hard. That was the funniest situation that ever occurred. But the first sister went, then the second one, the third one. I just could not believe that my sisters would do that.
Oh gosh, I can see it.
Yeah.
But they didn't mean to, right? I mean, they started laughing.
They couldn't help it. I mean, just that little having all that pressure down below, and then having the pressure of
laughing,
holding their cool,
They must have had oatmeal for breakfast that morning.
Probably did, yeah. We did out there at that farm. We had plenty of oatmeal.
Gosh.
See.
I don't remember where I was, but oh, yes, I do. I was helping with the neighborhood association cleanup, and we have twice a year we go around and pick up all the scrap metal in the neighborhood and leaves and yard debris and whatever. And I've been trying to get in good with those people because I want to be a good neighbor, and
Sure.
I got a lot of cars in my yard, and I don't want them calling the city on me.
They can do you a lot of damage.
Yes, they can. So I'm trying to, just show them I'm a good guy and everything, and I come and volunteer every time we get a chance. And I was helping load a TV just like that big dinosaur over there, and the president of the neighborhood association was out there helping, and we were throwing it into a dumpster, and she said, "Oh, give me a hand with this." I'm like, "All right." So I came over and I bent down, and I guess I'd had too much coffee that morning or something, and the vice president was right directly behind me, and as soon as I started to push to lift that up, I was like, "Oh, dang it." Oh, so, and you can't scuff your shoe or pretend like there's no covering that up.
No.
That's just, and it's two women, and they didn't, neither one of them even cracked a smile. So, dang it.
And this same lady that used to live out here, she'd call any little thing that was offensive rude.
Yeah, vile. So what was the story that you started to tell her? Or you said you started to tell a story about her, but you didn't want to.
Well, she would just fart a lot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she was I called it oatmeal farts. But anyway, she would just, just cut loose, and she couldn't help it. She couldn't control them.
Well, the worst ones are the people that can't even hear anymore, and they really don't think they're making that much noise, but they are.
Yeah.
I sat at Trina's old church. It was a traditional church with long, old, hard wooden pews, and I was there one Sunday, and somebody about 5 or 6 rows ahead of us thought they'd squeak one out, but it just reverberated all the way down the whole wooden bench. It was like a sounding board, and a lot of people laughed. They couldn't help it. But I would say probably about 2/3 of the people in the congregation.
Well, when you think about it, really, it's just a simple little expelling of gas.
Right.
It
just makes a funny noise.
And some people have to crack up. They have no control.
I know.
They just have no control whatsoever. They're just so full of laughter.
I know it. It's great. Oh. Well, I suppose we probably should get to sleep.